What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. Got a little bit of a different video for you all. Let's jump into it. All right, so what is so different that I'm going to be going over today? Today I'm going to be talking about my Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight, both the M4 Minty Green Blade HQ exclusive version that I have built out here that you see in front of you, and we're going to be talking about the completely OE'd Magna Cut steel version that I also picked up, which is part of their Saltline series. All right, so a couple of things that I wanted to talk about just a little bit is some of the differences. So immediately you can obviously tell that the Applied Weapon Tech scales offer a more skinny, seamless design here that is meant to improve the ergonomic aesthetics and subjectively, I think, improve the aesthetics to this one. Now, I don't have anything personally against the FRN stock scales that you see here on this completely stock Manix 2 lightweight. I just think that the profile and everything just happens to look a little bit better with the Applied Weapon Tech scale. Now, I will say that you do get more grip out of the bi-directional pattern on the FRN scales, but they do offer a little bit of texturing, and it does have a grippy feel once it's in hand. And of course, there's still enough presence there of the contouring to really lock you in on these. So the other thing that I really like about the Applied Weapon Tech scales is the fit and finish. You're not sacrificing anything, in my opinion, when you move to these. They are really well done. They feel like they are pretty much from the factory the way that they are designed, and I really do appreciate that a ton. One of the options that you can do when you pick up the Applied Weapon Tech scales is you can opt for their steel fold over deep carry clip, which I did do because I do prefer a deeper carry in the pocket personally. You don't lose anything here either with these. It is bi-directional, or I'm sorry, lefty or righty reversible pocket clip here. There's no pocket clip on the, thank goodness, pivot on this particular one. Now, the other thing that I did do here as well is I decided to upgrade to the Flytanium aluminum ball cage with ceramic ball. Now, I have seen where there has been conversation around this fitting for some folks, not fitting for other folks. I covered that in the original install, and then I did a part 2 where I talked a little bit more in depth about the installation of both the scales and the Flytanium cage. And really, all you need to do is keep your screws just a little loose, and then when you have it in place, just wiggle it back and forth a little to make sure that it is properly seated. And then the last thing that you want to do while you're holding it together, squeeze down and wiggling them into place, is you just want to make sure that the cage moves freely. When you feel it moving freely, then it is seated correctly, you have it sandwiched correctly, then you can go ahead and tighten down. But this is really not about that. I actually am going to do another build for the Magna Cut version of the Manix 2 lightweight, and that'll be in a future video. So back to the differences here. So I really do like this a lot. I will say Spyderco very consistent with the grinds, the edges here, the acute tip. I will say that the grind is a little bit deeper on my M4 than it is on the Magna Cut. The Magna Cut seems to be done a little bit more evenly, whereas on the M4 it looks like just a little bit more on the actual bevel of the blade itself. You can also opt to pick up new washers. I think they include the one washer, if I recall correctly. I might be getting confused with my Para 3 lightweight. So if I am, I do apologize. I would say go back and either watch the install of these scales on that video to confirm that. But either way, there's going to be 2 phosphor bronze washers in here. If you have it apart while you're installing this, I would recommend doing just a light polish. You don't need to do anything crazy, but it will keep things very smooth for you. This one here just has like a little hint when I really wrench on it of side to side, but it has not developed any up and down or anything like that with the ceramic ball, which I think works really well with the lockout on this one. The sounds are really good on this too. I really like how crisp it is, which is a bit of a difference coming out of the FRN. This one's not as broken in. You get a similar sound, but it sounds a little bit more crispy because they do still have that steel backspacer on there. Now, some other differences, you will carry over not just the hardware, but you obviously will carry over the backspacer. If you're not putting the Flytanium cage in, you'll carry over the plastic ball cage and spring with steel ball. So those are some other differences that you'll see on here as well. The one thing that I will note on here, I don't recall, it looks like it eliminates this rear pin. And again, it has been a minute, so I'm not 100% sure. And then I flipped this screw over, but I think the way that this sits, because it's a Chicago screw inserting into this pin, I think this pin is meant to go through here. I think that's why it is reversed. This is clearly lighter. This is sub 3. This is slightly over 3 ounces. So that is a little bit of a difference there. I'll be curious to see with the Magna Cut if that steel is just any lighter than the M4 in general. It'll be hard to say. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to myself down in the garage real quick to kind of go over something else that I just wanted to have a look at while I had these two together. All right, guys, so we're down in the garage. We have both my Manix 2 lightweights. Obviously, this one's been modded and has a little bit of use on it, but I did go ahead and strop it up a little bit for this test to make sure that it was factory fresh. It is still the factory geometry, but it is not a factory edge, so full disclosure on that. Have not cut with this one yet at all. It literally came in last night and I unboxed it on the live stream, so this one will only be getting tested here. What I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to do 2 passes on the catalog paper before cutting through a similar size, shape, and density cardboard. I'm going to go all the way through with as many cuts as I can with the M4 first. I will count how many cuts that is, and then I will try to replicate that with the Magna Cut steel on the lightweight, and then do the 2 passes in the catalog paper for each after. So let's go ahead. We'll set the Magna Cut steel one here to the side, and I just realized my cutting board, for some reason I probably was working on something, is shifted up, so I'm going to reposition y'all ever so slightly here. We will set the Magna Cut steel over here to the side. I did take a cut through real quick after I did a little bit of stropping with this one. It's a little dirty. I'll have to clean it up after we're done here, just to make sure that I did have a factory fresh edge, or I'm sorry, a fresh edge. It's not factory. So you can see there the 2 cuts. Feels pretty good, looks pretty good. And then we'll set this to the side. And as you can see here, these 2 pieces of cardboard are exactly the same size and density. I believe they're even from the same box. So I'm going to save one for the second pass, and we'll go ahead and start with this one. I am going to cut just below the tape and then count how many passes we're going through, and then we'll test it on the catalog paper afterwards. So we'll start with the M4. I'm going to just mark myself here. I think I did that pretty good. Yep, so the tape is out the way. So that's 1. Ooh. All right, so we're going to call that 22. I think I can replicate 22 on the Magna Cut, so we'll do 2 passes here. I don't think I got any tape on there. It does feel a little bit gooey. Yeah, let me just clean it off with a little bit of goof off, just to make sure it's not getting caught up on the adhesive, and I will afford the same cleaning to the Magna Cut when we get to the end. So 22 cuts, still fairly sharp, but it definitely has a couple of jagged edges on there. So I would think that this would need to be stropped. So I actually did, what, 3 cuts after cleaning it. So we'll see how the Magna Cut holds up. Let me clean this out of the way. Let me clean this up and get it out of the way, and then we'll do the Magna Cut. All right, so we got everything cleaned out of the way. We now have the Magna Cut steel. And, you know, it is not totally fair because this is not factory fresh. You know, this has gotten some use for sure. I carry it a ton. So I know it's not apples to apples, but still interesting. This is definitely a better edge, fresh from the factory, never been cut with before. It definitely feels slicier starting out. The M4 was definitely toothier starting out, so I do want to disclose that. So let's go ahead, we'll cut off the top piece, and we're going for 22 cuts. Is that one? And 22 cuts. All right, going straight to the paper. I am going to clean the adhesive off before we even do the 3 cuts. Where did that little, I still have a little bit left over from cleaning the M4. Definitely, you can tell this is factory fresh, and my M4 has been cut with a lot before. I think if I would have given it a proper strop, the M4 I think would have fared a little bit better, but let's just see after the same 22 cuts through the same cardboard. Yeah, the Magna Cut definitely off of the factory edge feels a lot slicier. Yes, there are imperfections, but it feels by comparison slicier. And again, I haven't done anything with the M4. Yeah, so there's definitely like a spot up high on the M4 that makes it feel like right there. There's a little imperfection on the M4, whereas on the Magna Cut, it's not as big of an imperfection. Still very close, very close. And again, full disclosure, the M4 has gotten a lot of use before this test. So I am impressed with the M4, but I honestly expected it to do well. I'm very impressed with the Magna Cut. So I got to thinking, I was stropping these up anyway. I thought, why not, after cutting all of this and stropping it up, demonstrate. So M4, I want to say the M4 took like 15 to 20 somewhere in there. I did lose count a little bit. I only had to do 10 on the Magna Cut because the Magna Cut wasn't as far gone, but I did want to show, you can probably hear this is a little bit toothier, but it still comes back to what I would consider a razor sharp edge, and then feel like the Magna Cut comes out a little bit smoother. Oh, maybe I missed a spot. I think I missed a spot, guys. Either way, pretty darn slicey, guys. Pretty darn slicey. Okay, so as I mentioned downstairs, you know, it's not an apples to apples comparison. I've had this M4 Manix 2 lightweight for quite a little while. It is not a factory fresh edge, but it is still a factory angled edge that has been stropped multiple times since I've owned it to try to hone and keep that edge going without having to sharpen it. I personally really like the factory edge angle on a Spyderco for most of the knives that I've personally encountered. So I've never really been compelled to lay it back. I don't really want a huge edge bevel. I think what they put on there is perfect as is from the factory. So I just keep that. I really don't ever find a need or reason to lay it back. Could it be more slicey? Yes. Do I need that? No. I've never actually had a Spyderco where I'm cutting with it and I'm thinking, boy, this feels like it's really thick going through this material. I'm meeting a lot of resistance. I probably need to lay the edge angle back on this. I've never ever once felt like that. Not with the Shaman, not with the Manix 2, not with the PM2, not with the Para 3, not with the Sage 5. None of them. They all have really felt, especially when you get to Delicas and Indellas, because they're even thinner blade stocks. But I've never ever gotten a Spyderco and felt like I need a lower edge angle on it. Never. For everything that I'm doing, these feel extremely slicey. Now, I will say the M4 did feel a bit toothier, even after stropping it up, again used, and then it felt very smooth, and didn't notice any toothiness at all on the magnet cut. And cutting through 22 slices through cardboard may not seem like a lot, but that's a lot of boxes being broken down. Cardboard is very nasty material to put a blade edge through, and it is really going to impact it a ton, more so than I think people realize. It's not like you're cutting paper or cutting through like rope or something that is consistent in what it's made of when you're cutting throughout that material. So hopefully that makes sense. But honestly, M4 has always impressed me. That's why I like to pick up those Blade HQ exclusive M4 deals. It is an excellent steel. I do go for the coated versions of them, but really the M4 doesn't necessarily rust per se. It kind of patinas, changes color a little bit, which is something you either like or you don't. But I just go for the coated for that extra peace of mind. But again, I did have an uncoated M4 Shaman for quite a while, and I never had it really rust. I didn't really see any rust spots. But that is where I am living here in the Mideast, I guess you would call it, if that's what you want to call Virginia. I think I'm like right under the line for the southern states. The magnet cut's very impressive as well. I'm very excited to finish the build on this one and get this all pieced together to see what it'll look like. Very excited for that. Now, some of the differences on the scales. Now, what I did notice here, these are not contoured in any way, shape, or form. They're actually raised a little bit on there. So you do kind of notice that, and it makes it feel a little bit chunkier in the hand. Obviously, also you have the swell and the more pronounced finger choil there than you do with the Applied Weapon Tech scales. But with that chamfering and the contouring, it makes it very comfortable in hand. So you go from a comfortable knife that you do feel the bidirectional pattern on, but it's not so aggressive that it's uncomfortable or hot in any way, shape, or form, to the really nice aluminum that does have some texturing on here that allows you to get some grip, and then the coating finish is not slick in any way, so you are nicely locked in, and then you still keep the little grooves here for the finger, and you're still very locked in when you need to choke up. So I do notice that this not only feels better in hand because it's skinnier and it's more comfortable ergonomically, but I do notice it doesn't really have like the raised edge here that you kind of feel where this edge stopped, right? The edge stopped on this knife, and you can really feel that. It also has a little bit more aggressive jimping down here on the bottom. So in the bare hand, you're going to notice that. You're going to feel that as your hand slides around and moves around on the FRN, just like you will the bidirectional pattern. Not, again, a hot spot, but it is something that is a little bit more noticeable, whereas I still feel locked in with the Applied Weapon Tech scales, but I don't really feel like anything's hot or biting into me. So it's a really balanced scale that I like a ton. Now, I know that folks out there say that you can go out onto Etsy and you can find them cheaper than you can from Applied Weapon Techs, and I'm sure they're built very well, but I like buying US made. I like supporting a small business like Applied Weapon Tech, and I feel like they are very consistent in the build quality, the fit and finish that you get from them, and then of course they stand behind their products. I did have an issue with a bug out scale one time from them, and they were awesome to deal with. Stood behind their product, made it right for me, so I'm very, very grateful for that. But In the end, would I say that you necessarily have to upgrade this to enjoy your Manix 2 lightweight? No, not at all. Now, I will say the plastic, although not as bendy as what you'll see on some Benchmades, when you go to squeeze it, you do notice that it does flex a little bit on you, just a tiny bit. And obviously with the aluminum, that eliminates that as well. And then it gives it a little bit more of a premium feel. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about it while I still had this one in its stock form before I build it out. I thought it would be fun to do, fun to go through, and just to kind of see how the magnet cut compared to the M4. Honestly, both these blade steels are fantastic, very impressive, and you will not go wrong with either choice. Let me know what you think about the Manix 2 lightweight. Are you all stock, pro stock, or do you like a little bit of a build, and do you like the availability of having these skinny scales? And again, Applied Weapon Tech is not the only make out there that has scales like these. There's Rip's Garage. There's too many. I'm gonna miss if I try to list them out, but definitely check in the comments. People will tell you ones that they have that they like and where they got them from if you're interested in some variety and taking a peek at other things. I know that there's manufacturers out there that do titanium if you don't mind the extra weight. I know there's ones that do, you know, again, just tons of materials out there, and that's the beautiful thing about these Spydercos. Tons of aftermarket support, so you can make it to the knife that you really envision it being. All right, guys, I am out of here. Affiliate links are down in the description. When you use those, it helps the channel. Leaving a like will also be appreciated if you enjoyed the content, and if you're enjoying the content regularly, definitely consider subscribing. I'd love to have you follow along. Shout out to my channel members. I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.